Aku takut ketinggalan dari teman-teman yang sudah lebih dulu belajar.
Dulu aku baru sadar kalau pemrograman web itu lumayan kompleks.
Latar belakang aku dari non-IT kadang-kadang membuat aku bertanya juga, kira-kira aku bisa survive nggak ya?
Matematikanya itu sangat sulit. Pertama-tama saya belajar di teknik informatika.
Keterbatasan ekonomi keluarga yang membuat aku bertanya, apa aku bisa?
Dari jurusan Geofisika Universitas Indonesia.
Dari jurusan Teknik Informatika Universitas Pajajaran.
Dari jurusan Manajemen Universitas Brawijaya.
Saya dari jurusan Teknik Informatika Universitas Telkom.
Dari jurusan Teknik Informatika Universitas Negeri Malang.
Meski kuliah di jurusan Geofisika, aku tertarik belajar IT karena saat ini digitalisasi sudah mulai banyak diterapkan di berbagai bidang, termasuk geofisika.
Dulu di semester 3, aku ada mata kuliah namanya Object Oriented Programming, dan situ aku belajar bahasa Java. Seniorku bilang, kalau kamu suka OOP dan kamu suka Java, ada baiknya kalau kamu coba develop Android.
Karena salah satu drama Korea yang bernama Startup, terus aku merasa, kayaknya seru juga ya belajar tentang wawasan teknologi.
Aku tertarik ke machine learning ini karena aku punya visi bahwa kita itu akan terbantu dengan komputer.
Aku ingin belajar IT karena sejak kecil aku suka main komputer yang dibelikan ibu, dan ibu dukung penuh cita-citaku karena beliau ingin masa depan aku yang lebih baik.
Aku pilih Bangkit karena Bangkit merangkul orang-orang non-IT seperti aku dan memberi ruang kepada perempuan untuk sama unggulnya seperti laki-laki.
Aku pilih belajar di Bangkit karena program ini diadain Google dan industri keren lainnya seperti Goto dan Traveloka.
Aku ikut Bangkit karena pengen belajar ingin membuat startup seperti Nam Dosan dan juga Sodalmi di K-Drama Startup.
Aku pilih belajar di Bangkit karena aku melihat alumni-alumni lulusan dari Bangkit itu sangat terkenal di industri-industri Indonesia sekarang.
Aku ikut Bangkit karena Bangkit punya program bursa kerja untuk semua lulusannya.
Di Bangkit, aku mendapat pengalaman untuk membuat sebuah aplikasi bernama Dress On Me, di mana Dress On Me ini merupakan sebuah aplikasi untuk mencoba pakaian secara digital.
Aku dapat ilmu pengetahuan Android yang komprehensif. Selain itu, ada kelas bahasa Inggris dan juga soft skills yang sangat membantu dalam aku berkembang di dunia profesional.
Setelah Bangkit, aku dapat banyak, mulai dari timku masuk top 50 Capstone Project, kemudian juga aku lulus dengan peringkat distinction.
Aku mendapatkan banyak kenalan baru, mulai dari teman-temanku hingga sampai expert-expert yang di industri saat ini.
Setelah ikut Bangkit, aku dapat ilmu Android yang bermanfaat dan juga pekerjaan full-time dari Bangkit Career Fair.
Kini, Dress On Me berhasil mendapatkan dana inkubasi sebesar 140 juta rupiah dari Google dan Dikti.
Aku jadi software development engineer intern di Dana Indonesia.
Sekarang aku jadi advisory associate di PricewaterhouseCoopers Indonesia.
Sekarang kesibukanku adalah bersama teman-temanku membangun startup yang bernama Kerjago.
Sekarang aku jadi Android developer di PT Prima Vista Solusi.
Okay, hi, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon all Bangkit students in Bangkit 2023. Welcome to the third guest speaker session in Bangkit 2023. And I think it's already 1 month, right? Your journey in Bangkit 2023. And I would like to asking you here, how do you feel after 1 month in your Bangkit journey? Can all of you can type on the live chat comments on YouTube. I will read all of you. How do you feel about your journey in Bangkit? And yeah, I hope all of you in a good feel. But if you have a nano feel, just embrace it and enjoy it, because yeah, we never know is it our moment can repeat it again in the next future or not. So just enjoy it all the moment that we have. Okay, so, and for today's guest speaker session, I would like to know about all of your excitement by put some emoji through live chat, also through live chat. Yeah, great. Okay. And before we're going to our guest speaker session, I would like to introduce myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Yasmin Hanan Kinanti. Everyone calls me Yasmin. And I was one of the Bangkit graduate in 2022 in machine learning path. And currently, I am a Bangkit mentor in 2023. And for today's session, we have Mas Wisu Suntoyo as head of customer engineering at Google. And yeah, Well, the kind of insight that we will hear from Mas Wisu is all about the career talk, how to be a future ready. And so please be ready, guys, with your notes, because I guarantee to all of you here, the material that will be delivered by Mas Wisu must be very insightful. So please prepare your notes. And I think Mas Wisu is already on the screen. Hi, Mas Wisu.
Hello, hi everybody. Hi, Yasmin.
Okay. One thing that I want to remind Bangkit student here, if you have any question, in the end of the session, we will have an interactive question and answer through YouTube chat, and you can type your question. Start with hashtag ASKey and continue with your question. Yeah. So yeah, I think Mas Wisu can start your delivery session. Time and screen are yours, Mars.
Hello, everybody. I think can I start with my slides? Well, it's nice to be as a guest speaker in this afternoon today. I was part of Bangkit since the very beginning, since Bangkit in 2020. It was announced in 2019, but I think I was part of the early days of Bangkit. Yeah, man, it's really exciting to see how big Bangkit has grown today, and it's just amazing. And looking at how many people have improved their lives, have obtained great opportunities, I think this is very very exciting. Can I share my slide? Can somebody share my slides? Yes. So this afternoon, I would be talking about sharing about a career talk about how to be future ready. This is quite a big discussion that I want to be sharing. It's something that draws off of my experience, where that I've had it with my career. So, introduction. My name is Wisu Suntoyo. My role in Google Cloud Indonesia is I am the head of customer engineering. I joined Google in 2019, just before the pandemic, and after a few months within Google, working in Google, you get to work with a lot of amazing people. You get to be around a lot of amazing people. The work area, the work is great where we are working at. But after a few months joining Google, I had to start working from home. So that's something that's okay. So a brief about my role in Google. So my role in Google is helping customers solve and innovate by digitally transforming with Google Cloud's technology. So as we all know, Google Cloud, our technology, our infrastructure is the same infrastructure that is used to run a lot of Google services, the majority of Google services. So when you're looking at Google Search, when you're looking at YouTube and such, those are the underlying infrastructure that Google has. And Google has been well known to be an organization that is very innovative. And because of that, we have helped customers deliver innovations. Now, digital transformation is a term I think that is all over the place. Everybody is talking about digital transformation. But the thing with digital transformation is the goal of digital transformation is to actually to solve their problems and also to innovate better. We've seen big organizations in Indonesia innovate very well by transforming digitally. We've seen traditional banks do that. We've seen innovations come from a lot of startups in Indonesia that has become unicorns. And we've also seen that in the speaker, in the video bumper before, in the beginning, there were a few students that shared their ideas, their innovative ideas. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was about the dressmaker kind of app that she shared. Doing this, I am working along with a team. So I manage a team of customer engineers. So you may, if you are in Bangkit, you may have already interacted with a few of my team members. So in the picture, in the middle picture there, you could see, I think, a number of those. If you can name them, that would be great. So these are part of the team members that help me do my job day to day in helping customers realize Google Cloud's technology. In the top right, that is my counterpart, Bumega, where we were the beginning of Google Cloud, in Indonesia, and then we subsequently drove the business to the current stage we are now. A bit about my role, additional about my role in Google, as I already mentioned earlier, I was involved deeply in the beginning of Bangkit. At that time, the Bangkit was an initiative by a counterpart of mine named William, based out of somebody working in Indonesia, but it was based out of Switzerland. But that time it was just machine learning. So back in 2020, Bangkit was only about machine learning. So there was just one pilot program about machine learning. And then we were in the office at Google office. We sort of had lunch. I met him, and then we had a quick discussion. And he asked me if I were to be part of Bangkit, to help mentor Bangkit. So that's where I joined Bangkit. I took part in Bangkit. And then when we went to Bali, so I think that was the first physical event of Bangkit. Now everything is gone online. A lot of it is gone online, but there will be face-to-face events when for certain people when you are at graduation. So, and when we met, I saw a gap with Bangkit, that what was delivered with just machine learning is not enough for us to actually meet the needs of the market. So that's where I suggested to William at that time, we should have cloud, right? So, and then I committed to having my team members helping out with providing the content, providing the mentoring for cloud, specifically with Bangkit participants. We actually helped build the curriculum and such. And also part of that, he also had an idea to include Android within that. So yeah, that's where it essentially the beginning started with Bangkit, Cloud's involvement in Bangkit, Google Cloud's involvement with Bangkit. Last year, I had an idea because the idea was simple. The previous year, 2021, apologies, I saw that a lot of the capstone projects was really driven to people who wanted to be entrepreneurs, but not everybody has that interest to be there. Sometimes you may want to solve problems within specific organizations. That's where I sort of came up with the idea of industry capstone project. And together with Dora and Yoza, we sort of cooked up the idea, and we've got a number of companies to actually agree to get Bangkit participants to help them out and give ideas and such for their solutions. Now that is part of what is called innovations. So if you look at things like innovations, like open innovations, that's where organizations look externally for ideas on how they can improve what they have internally. Usually it's in form of hackathons. You could get hackathons. You could also be in form of what we did here, when you get people coming into your organization and helping out, sort of interns and such sometimes. Yep. So when I mention customers, here are a number of customers that we have helped over the years to innovate, to solve their problems. So as you could see there, all the big unicorns are actually on Google Cloud. You could see from Gojek, GoTo. They're also part of our of this Bangkit events. You could also see ticket.com. You could also see Traveloka, Ovo. These are the unicorns of Indonesia that have innovated their services, that have built great innovations using Google Cloud's technology. Of course, 2020, I had the luxury of delivering the keynote demo for the launch of the Jakarta region. That was a momentous occasion for me, being on the same virtual stage with our CEO, Sundar, and the Minister of Informatics from Indonesia at that time. Yeah, he's still the same one now at the moment. So that was a great experience for me, where I had the opportunity to launch Google Cloud's region in Indonesia. Because of that, Google Cloud then was capable of helping financial services companies actually use Google Cloud services. Also, because of that, we also was capable of helping government institutions to also adopt Google Cloud. One notable customer, which is Kementerian Pendidikan, MOE, Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology. They also adopted Google Cloud to deploy what is well known now as Merdeka Mengajar. I think it's publicly mentioned as Merdeka Mengajar. And they were capable of delivering the app very quickly. They were capable of building the app very quickly. They were capable of innovating that with Google Cloud's technology. Not to mention how they were capable of scaling the actual usage, the actual people who were accessing it. So during, to my knowledge, when I sit down with the CTO of GovTech, he mentioned that it was a massive scale at that time, where a lot of people actually accessed their infrastructure all at once, and many more organizations that we helped, customers that we helped, that I can't mention one by one, but you could see from that that's this slide of mine. So a bit about my journey. So my career started in 1999. I think a lot of you have not been born yet at that time, perhaps. I don't know. Perhaps some of you were still maybe born around the 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Do comment in the chat, when were you born? But I started before the year 2000, 1999. I was a fresh graduate that was campus hired into an organization where my role at that time was as a sysadmin. As you could see there, I was very proud sitting next to a server, which was located on a desk. And the role of a sysadmin was actually mixed between doing hardware. As you could see, I had to do physical RJ45 cabling, LAN, TCP/IP networking within the organization, and the operating system of that was running the business was Windows NT Server. Yeah? And one piece of technology that I was using at that time was Novel NetWare. Even now, Novel is not selling the product Novel NetWare anymore. So essentially what Novel NetWare is doing is it was providing a local area network. So you could use your file explorer and access their infrastructure, access shared files on the network. So that was my main role in 1999. And then I shifted over to a technology named Linux. I shifted the Novel server to a Linux-based server using Samba. So Samba is it is actually service message block, where essentially it's the same, is a file service, file sharing infrastructure where people access it via their Windows Explorer and such. And then I sort of shifted over to providing additional services with email services. So at that time, the kind of technology that I was working with was Qmail and Postfix. And then I started an interest in programming, in learning how to develop applications. So I did not learn about programming from campus. So it was all from work and from experience. And then I took a lot of professional roles, right? I took a lot of professional roles helping smaller organizations adopt technology. A lot of them was using Windows Server because they wanted that platform. And it was the same kind of technology that was used. I was actually working with Microsoft Exchange Server at that time. Now, then I started learning things like virtualization, which I started off with VMware, and then I shifted over with KVM. And then I started developing applications much more deeper. That's where I used OpenLayers, Google Maps, and then I used PHP and PostGIS. That's where I started talking about things like the business. So I sort of shifted over just from providing infrastructure to actually thinking about how the business is, what is the business proposition of delivering software. I was very happy to use the framework, which is Zen framework. That was the framework that I used to make the applications. And then a piece of software came along, which was Google Apps. So essentially, Google Apps, what you all know now as Google Workstation, essentially disrupted what I did back then, was deploy email services for customers at a small, medium business kind of thing. Google Apps then provided email services, Gmail, for everybody for a very low price, where you did not need to have infrastructure, where you did not need to have infrastructure, needed to have the people to manage it, a lot of resources to manage it. It was all services running on the cloud. And then I ventured into entrepreneurship. I built a human resources business, but unfortunately that did not go well. So I entered the job market again at age 40. Luckily, I still got a job at age 40, even though I started a business. The business did not go very well, so I was lucky to still get a job at that time. And I started building mobile apps. At that time, I was working on things using Ionic, so building mobile apps, but using JavaScript. I think it's now popular. People are using frameworks like React and such. Back at that time, it was Ionic, and it was very clunky and very slow. Then I started working with cloud technology. I started working with cloud technology, and I started building things as microservices. And then I got with my focus with infrastructure got stronger, where I worked with technologies like Docker, Nginx, and Redis. And then I shifted over using technologies like Kubernetes. And that's where then I joined Google in 2029. So along this time, I've always been a people manager. So beginning sysadmin, and then 2020, 21, I started to manage people. And then as a professional, I did not manage people much. And then at 2029 onwards, I started managing people again. And since 2014, I started using cloud technology. Now, that was a bit of my career. It was a long story, a story for 24 years of experience. But that was in line with what I'm talking about today, where you need to be future ready for your career. You need to have the skills that would make you be competitive within the future. So the first skill that everybody needs is critical thinking and problem solving. Now, part of my role in Google is actually building the Google team, and till this date, I have done 120 interview to candidates. So I have interviewed more than 120 candidates to take on roles in Google. Now, these candidates are not just from Indonesia. I've also interviewed roles for for roles in Australia, in Singapore, and in India, and Malaysia too. So 4 countries that I have interviewed people, and they're all done from home because everything is done online at the moment. And part of this interview that I'm always talking about is problem solving. Is how do you see the problem, and how do you understand the problem to actually solve these problems? Now, the first piece of that is actually identifying the problem, right? So identifying the problem is the main step, the essential step that everybody needs to start solving a problem. You cannot take assumptions, all right? You can take assumptions, but you need to take assumptions based on data. So identifying problems means you should be capable of looking at what data can you get to actually identify the problem and start coming up with a solution. What kind of data do you need? So when you're on a server and when you're working on infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, and there are problems with that, of course, you need to check the logs. These are data, right? When you're building an application and suddenly the application, not many people are accessing it, what data would you be looking at? So do put something in the comments if you'd like to share. Essentially, is identifying the problem, is looking at the data, the underlying data, what is causing that. Then once you've found out the data, then you start thinking about a solution, right? Once you've already found the underlying problem, what's the cause of that problem, then you start thinking about a solution. Many times people directly jump into a solution without identifying what is the root cause and understanding the problem clearly. So with my 120 interviews in Google, many candidates fail at that, right? Many candidates still don't understand the way to understand and actually find out where the underlying problem is. And then once you've done that, you start brainstorming, you start identifying the solution, and then once the solution is there, you really need to evaluate. You need to evaluate what is the solution. You need to evaluate whether that solution is effective or not. You need to start implementing and see whether those solutions are realistic, or you need to look for another way out. The next important piece is skill is communication. Now, good communication is essential for both personal and professional success. Everybody needs to be capable of communicating well with everybody, both verbally and written. Now, one person that I respect a lot, that I idolize in the way that person communicates, is perhaps Barack Obama. He's a Native American speaker, a native English speaker. But when you listen to him talk, he would talk slowly. He would be very articulate so that people can understand what he's saying. It's important for you to, so when you communicate, it's not that you understand it, but other people should understand what you're talking about. So part of that is the need to listen actively. So I had a number of meetings in the past few weeks. And many times the counterpart would start talking a lot, and then I would start listening, and I would start finding what is the underlying message that he or she is talking about. Of course, I would ask questions, but the thing is, there's a saying that we have two ears and one mouth. That means we should do more listening than talking. But again, you should always start asking the correct questions every time. And then, as I mentioned before, people should be clear and concise. When you're speaking, you cannot rush what you're saying. You cannot speak too quickly, otherwise people may not be clear about what you're saying. And as a technical person, we should avoid using jargons, using technical terms, where many times people may not understand what those jargons mean, what those terms are. So when I talk with a business owner, I certainly can't say, oh, you should use GKE, that would do this and this and this and this and this. He may not even know what GKE stands for, right? Even many times in the beginning of my career, in the beginning of talking with people before AI was hype, I would call it artificial intelligence. I would not call it AI, because many times at that time, not now, at that time, people were not articulate about what AI was, right? And that's where I chose the word. I deliberately chose the term artificial intelligence instead of AI and machine learning, right? Because sometimes these abbreviations confuse people. That's why I like to do that. And then you need to be respectful. You need to be respectful of people's opinions, even though you may disagree with somebody. Right? I've got a number of run-ins with people who express their thoughts, express their ideas in a non-respectful way. And many times when that happens, people shuts off. People do not want to communicate once that person is disrespectful. So it's very important to start being respectful to people when you're communicating. There are many stories, perhaps, when about children, about teenagers that speak harsh to their parents. That's where even though what you say may be good, right? Even though what you say is right, but once you say it in a non-respectful manner, people won't get the meaning. People won't get won't identify won't identify what you're saying. And then the next important part, the last thing, is actually being open to feedback. Many times we may not be right with our information, with our communication, with our ideas. So when communicating with someone, we should always be open to feedbacks and be respectful again. If they do have something better against our ideas, right? And then the next very important future-proof skill is actually teamwork and collaboration. Now, as I mentioned before, I had an idea about how to extend Bangkit, right? And the team, the person who was in charge of Bangkit at that time, William, he saw that idea, he respected that idea, and I was willing to collaborate with him to grow Bangkit further, to have cloud technology in Bangkit. That was not just having cloud. Okay, we can have cloud. No, we had to actually sit down with the Bangkit team and actually craft the curriculum and craft what was needed for students like yourself to learn about Bangkit. And that needed a lot of collaboration. Now, Google as an organization, is well known for collaboration. We are well known for teamwork and collaboration. And that's why we have a cafe. We purposely in Google, if you have the luxury to be invited to Google's office. So to my knowledge, if you are part of the top graduates, you will be then invited to Google's office. When you go to Google's office, you will see that there are a number of micro kitchens purposely placed close with each department, with each cross function. That's where we sort of bump into each other and exchange ideas. And that was something that was initiated early on in the organization by our founders, even though Google was a very small organization there. Okay, so with as a good collaboration, you should be a good listener. I was already mentioned that. You should be willing to share information and ideas. Now, sharing information, sharing ideas is the heart of Google Workspace, right? So if you look at how we build spreadsheets, how we build slides, presentations, how we build documents. In Google, we will always share this with our cross-functional team members, our friends, people within our teams, people from separate teams, and get them to collaborate and actually build a good presentation. There is a video outside if you want to search about the value of Google Slides, is how well a lot of people got together to deliver a presentation which needed to be supported by many functions within the organization. And that's the power of Google Workspace, is teamwork and collaboration. And this is something that is well adopted by many organizations, not just startups, but also starting to be adopted by traditional companies, is how they collaborate online with these kind of documents. And it's something that you could actually try with Bangkit, right? When you start brainstorming the ideas, you create a document, you brainstorm your ideas within that document and collaborate effectively with people in your team on your capstone project. And then the next part of being collaborative is open to feedback. So as you see, a lot of these tips are intertwining with other areas, with other skills. So essentially, a lot of them support each other. Yeah? So you should be open to feedback. And then many times you may need to compromise with ideas that your partner, that your friend has, because they may have a solution that is much better. And then you should always be positive and supportive. Now, a positive attitude is the basis of good collaboration. You should always be a team player to be successful. Remember, there's no I in team, but you should always be positive and be collaborative with your team members. And then the next skill is be adaptable and flexible. As you can see in my 20 plus career, the technology has always changed from time to time. The technology that I was working on early on in my career, building email services, was heavily disrupted when Google introduced Gmail, and then Gmail for Work, and then changed into Gmail, Google Apps, right? So that was where I saw that I had to be flexible and I had to change my offering from just providing email solutions for small, medium businesses to start building software, to start building solutions for customers, for clients. That's where I went into the professional work. So you should be open to new experiences. right? The best way to become adaptable is being open to new experiences. When your friend says that, hey, we should start using this coding technology, okay, be open, but you should assess that properly. You should well assess whether it is worth your time or not, and then start working on it once you've seen that, right? Like a very good example is the adoption of Golang. I don't know how many people understand Golang. So that was, a lot of people actually saw that as a new hype technology, a new hype programming language. And then people started adopting that. And then pretty soon, Gojek is heavily using Golang. And then a lot of people now is using it. Or based on my experience, I had to shift from physical servers to virtualizations and eventually to cloud, because the market is actually shifting away from having hardware on premises but having them on the cloud instead. And of course, you should be willing to change. If I did not be willing to change the solutions that I delivered with building email services and not shift into something that was more uh, delivering value, I would probably be out of a job, because Gmail, Google Work, Google Workspace has actually disrupted that business. And then always be positive, and then be patient and persistent. Now, learning new things, it may be different from one person to another. So with my experience, I don't think that I'm a very smart guy. It takes quite a lot of time for me to learn something. That's why I need to be patient. I need to be persistent in actually investing more time into learning these kind of technologies, into learning something new. And then being creative and innovative. Now, this is something that is very influenced by the recent um, the recent advancements in technology, right? Innovation is something that every organization needs. You may see that was it, a lot of companies are aspiring to be innovative, and thankfully, Google is an organization that is known to be top of innovations. That is based off our culture of innovations, and I will briefly brush a bit of that with the next tips that I could share. Now, again, being open to ideas and insights. So many times, one innovations that we could see is how Bangkit has grown to be this impactful to a lot of students that you've seen in the video before, and hopefully that a lot of you will also gain a lot from Bangkit. Is be open to insights. It started as somebody being open to insights, being open to ideas that I gave to that person, and eventually it expanded Bangkit. And we should not be afraid to think outside of the box. And then be collaborative, right? As was mentioned before, innovation, you need to be collaborative. You need to be sitting down, involving many other people, and gain their perspective and gain their ideas, right? So many times, these people may not be may not seem as the person who has that idea, but many times, based on their experience, is where they can add value to a specific idea. So maybe one example is the way the Pixel phone has adapted very well to people of color. It's because collaboration between people from all races then found out that the default phone did not actually help uh, the color for the exposure, how it showed for people of color like myself. And then be experimental. Now, this is something that is very close to how infrastructure is being built with a lot of our customers. Now, maybe a lot of you have heard technology like Kubernetes, have heard technology like microservices, have the technology like containerization. Now, one of the idea of that is to make it easier, to make it easier for organizations to do experimentation, right? So there are small services that can easily be tested out, can easily be delivered, and then if they don't work well, and then they be improved without uh, disturbing the underlying application itself. And then you may need to take risks, but my question is you should really take calculated risks, right? But it is important to take the risks. Now, in Google, as an organization, part of what we mention as the culture of innovation is we have what is known as psychological safety, where when people actually take the risk, they will not be penalized for taking the risk. But of course, they have to be calculated risks, because you can't just take risk without any underlying underlying ideas of where that's going to be and what's going to impact. And then the last tip of this is actually being passionate. Everybody should be passionate of what they're doing. I have always shown a passion to learning new things, and that has brought me to be adaptive, to be flexible in learning new technologies and propel my career forward. So those are the few future ready skills that I could share. First of all is critical thinking. The next is communications, then teamwork and collaborations, being adaptable and flexible, and lastly, creative and innovative. So these are the 5 key skills that everyone should own to have a future ready career. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much, Mas Wisu, for the insightful session. You tell us about the future ready career skills that we have to know it. And yeah, we are going to the Q&A interactive session. So, okay, for the first question, I think okay. First question is from Khalil Alvaro. Hi, Mr. Wisu Sutoyo. I see that you've come a long way in IT profession. What's something that IT people should have that will never change throughout a rapid IT transformation era?
Yes, thank you for the question, Khalil. Yeah, thank you for the question, Khalil. So all those 5 skills are important for somebody for some, not just for an IT professional. It's important for everybody, especially within the digital era. The era now is the era of digitalization, digital transformation. Everybody is trying to move away from being non-digital, from being analog to digital. And as I mentioned before, the main purpose of people moving to digital is being capable of delivering innovations. And innovations is where the business then is driven by innovations. As you can see, Google, a lot of our business, we have a lot of products, with more than 1 billion users. And that is all driven by innovations. And our humble beginnings from a garage. And that's where a lot of that kind of innovations comes through. So those 5 skills are essential, not just for an IT profession, but for everybody. Thank you. Hope that answers you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. Okay, for the next question, please. Next question is from Nurmahin. Hi, Mr. Wisu Suntoyo. When doing brainstorming solution, what is the best way to limit our solution? And then moving on the next step, it is evaluating the solution.
Yes. Thank you for the question, Nurmahin, Mas Nurmahin, Mas Ombak. So yeah, that's side note a bit. We in Indonesia always call Mas Mbak as a he or a she, but in other cultures, we are not. They may not be welcome to that kind of thing. But yes, I understand. I hear you well. Many times people start brainstorming and start coming with ideas that are too far off, ideas that are sort of not relevant. But again, as I mentioned before, we have to identify the problem. We have to identify the underlying problem. What is the problem? And the brainstorming should align with that problem. Otherwise, people will start throwing ideas, that are not relevant. That's why it's important to actually understand the problem. And this is something that I see a lot of times people do, right? Um, Simply put, when you have a problem with your laptop, oh, just restart it. That's that's not solving the problem, right? But yes, it works. But that's not the underlying problem. You may still find that problem again in future. Of course, the next step is evaluating the solution. Of course, that's where people should start evaluating, should start thinking with data. If you see the way Gojek is actually being successful, they are an organization that very very well that that is implement Google Cloud's data warehouse. They are very well in evaluating each solutions that they deploy within their app based on data. There are many blogs, there are many writings about that. Please feel free to look at that. Thank you. I hope I answered you, Nur Mahin.
Okay, and I think it's really related to design thinking when we have to solve the problem, right, Miss Mas
Exactly.
Wisu?
Exactly. So yes, I
Okay.
feel that design thinking, that is a
Mhm.
framework. Of course, that is a framework of where of problem solution, of identifying problems, of actually coming up with solutions, and it's something that you will learn in Bangkit. I think you will, or you have already, but that is something, a key takeaway from Bangkit that you could learn. Yes.
Yes,
Design
yes,
thinking.
of course. Okay, next question. Okay, next question is from Doni Wirawan. How can professionals develop a global mindset and cultural competence that enables them to work effectively across different countries and regions?
So thank you for the question, Donny. I see that you have an interest to work globally. That's a great interest, and I can fully support you on that. That's something that you will be capable of building, be capable of having. Of course, with what we are delivering here in Bangkit, what you are delivering, what competence that you are learning here in Bangkit is not just the hard technical skills. You are also learning the soft skills that is required to actually be valuable in different countries, in different regions. And that's important. The basic thing, of course, is communications, and also the other 5 items that I shared previously. And what you've learned in Bangkit here, what you're going to be learning in Bangkit here, is actually the foundations for you to be competitive on a global level, on a global scale. Thank you.
Okay.
Hope I
Okay. So
answered you.
it's really related to the Bangkit journey because Bangkit not only provided the technical skills, but also a soft skill and also English skill that we have to know it. We have to implement it to our life.
Exactly, spot on.
Okay. Next question from Kaisario Dito. Hi, Mr. Wisu Suntoyo. My question is referring to teamwork and collaboration. How do you personally maintain good teamwork environment or vibes, and how can you handle such a problematic teammates?
Mm. Yes, yes. Thank you for this, Cesar. Cesar, I hope usually it's either Cesar or Tito. I just call you Cesar, okay? So by the first name. So yes, that is the challenge. That is the solution. The problem where many people find with teamwork or collaborations, and that's an art. When there's somebody who is problematic, my based on my experience, I would not be harsh and point out that person in public. We should also understand that sometimes problematic people, there is a cause, again, problem solving. There is a cause why people are not performing as well. It could be that person does not understand what is that, what is the goal of the team. It could also mean that the person has personal problems that is inhibiting this individual from actually being capable of collaborating, of contributing to that specific goal of the team. What I suggest is pulling this person aside, having a one-to-one person, a heart-to-heart discussion with this person, and give feedback. That is important, to give feedback. Otherwise, that person may not know why that he or she is not is causing such a headache to the organization, to the team. It is human nature for people to always be to help. There's no such. I don't believe people to be evil, right? They may not be understood very well. They may have challenges that they are facing that you need to that has to be resolved. That's my view. Yeah. So my suggestion is to pull that person aside and have a heart-to-heart discussion and actually be honest to that person what the problem is and why that person is not contributing to the goal. I hope I answered you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. And I think it's really related to the team dynamic. Also, team dynamic, it's step by step of the team dynamic. It really matters on the progress of the teamwork, right? So,
Yes. Exactly.
yeah, okay. Next question is from Hanley for Besley. You have vast experience in not only tech, but also business side of tech and how to better see the business opportunity of tech of how we can add value to others' life.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Henley. Yes, I am thankful. I feel that I am lucky that I've got a extensive experience, not just in tech, also in business. As I mentioned before, this experience was not just success. My experience in business was actually bankruptcy. I had a My business did not go very well. I had to close that business and look for a job. But these kind of experiences actually enriched my way of thinking and such, right? To be honest, I thought I should have taken a business was it postgraduate, to know more about actually running a business before jumping into business. Another way to do so is actually collaborating with people who actually can give you more insights, can give you more knowledge with business. So it's difficult for us to know everything. For one person to know everything is not possible, right? But again, once you start collaborating with people, once you start working together with people, then you start to identify new opportunities. You start to think about more business and how what you're doing, how what your actions is actually helping other people. So again, it's back again to one of the points there is actually collaboration, is actually sitting down with people. I spend a lot of time with my friends, discussions on things that are related to their business. And I should always be respectful, seeing that their business is good business. I could have a friend who built a coffee shop, and I have huge respect for this person. Why? Because that coffee shop actually thrived, actually went well. And a few weeks ago, I met with a friend who has a workshop. He is delivering hardware for oil and gas companies, and that was a very good insight for me, where he actually built that business, and he is successful in that business. Thank you. I hope I answered you, Henry.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. So next question is from Faiz. Hello, Mr. Wisu. What role do you see emerging technology playing in shaping the future of our industries? And how can we position ourselves to take advantages of these opportunities?
Yes. So again, technology, um, back then, technology was simple. When you say orang IT, right, it's everything. It's hardware and such, right? But now is already specific, right? When either you want to be a front-end developer, you want to be back-end developer, or you want to be a data scientist, or you want to be an AI ML machine learning scientist. Of course, there is also data science. Also, there is data engineering. Also, there is programmer. Also, there is cloud engineer. There are a lot of verticals within the technology itself, right? And all of them have their niche. All of them have their strength. All of them have their points, right? And that's where every individual should sort of be looking out at what technologies are actually gaining ground. How many people are adopting the technology? So maybe simple explanation, simple analogy is how the adoption of the Linux kernel back in 2000, people did not see that as big organizations would just focus on would just focus on the established technology, which was Microsoft Windows at that time. I sort of took a risk and learned Linux, and my career then started from there. Of course, it did not go very well for the first few years. That's where I had to go in and out with other technologies. And again, that was where I took calculated risks. I dedicated a portion of my time with the new technology, but a lot of my time was also with the other technology. Now, in Google, we have a way of working where it is a 20% project, where everybody can dedicate 20% of your project on building something new, on building something that's fun. And that's where students can do as well. get 20% of your time on building something that will will um, will propel you forward. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it must be a listing from the risk and also the positive one that we can get from the technology. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. You should balance it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Next one. Next question is from Muhammad Rayhan Aldani. With the rapid development of technology, is it possible that in the future robots or AI will take over all human jobs? If it's really happened, and then what should we do?
Thank you for the question, Raihan. Yes, robots will take on a few of the jobs. Um, I I foresee that some area of the job will be taken over by automation. I don't know if you're old enough to know, but back in the day when when we were going to go on toll roads, we would give the money to the person would give change, and we would go through the door into the toll road. Today, it's all automated. Of course, that is the advancements of technology. There are jobs that were lost because of that. But there are more jobs created because of that. So, yes, certain repetitive tasks will be changed, will be substituted by automation, will be substituted by robots. But a lot more jobs will then come because of these kind of automations, right? Now there is a lot more people working on. There are a lot of jobs for people doing cloud technology because of the network being advanced, because of AI in mobile devices, because of people. See, mobile devices, people adopt mobile devices is because of the AI. You see, because the screen is small, it's just a small screen, right? But because of AI, it knows that you are interested to a particular topic, that you are interested in a particular technology. Now, because of that, there are a spew of social media influencers. There are a spew of developers. There are a spew of software companies, startups that uh, leverage of this. So, to your question, yes, a lot of jobs will be taken over, repetitive jobs will be taken over, but there will be many, many more jobs because of that. Thank you. Hope I answered it.
Okay. So we are as a human being must be smart to adapt of the new challenge, new things that will happen in the next future.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Next question from Azar Tawakal. Do you have any tips to learn a new skill? Sometimes when we start to learn a new skill, after a while we feel bored and don't want to continue it. Wow. Really nice question. Okay.
Thank you for the question, Azhar. Great question. So one thing that can drive drive interest in learning new things for me particularly is seeing results of what I've built. Right? You could either see the results as something that uh, a project that you built, something that you built actually be deployed in something, or you could create at your level as a student, use that to create portfolios of yourself. Say, so build a blog. You could build it on Firebase. There are many ways to build a blog for free on Firebase. You could then start building your portfolio out of something that you've learned, you write it down, and you publish it in the blog. Or you could publish it somewhere else, and or LinkedIn. That would be a great place. Essentially, that will then become your portfolio. Now, to me, a lot of my time, my interest in learning things is because I maintained a blog and I actually wrote down a lot of my learnings in this blog. And that's where I, in the early days of me building technology, that's where I got excited in learning these new technologies. Subsequently, now learning new technologies, what interests me is actually helping, the impact that these learnings gave myself and gave others. Thank you. I hope I answered you.
Okay. When we discuss about bored and don't want to continue it, Mas, in Gen Z, there are a sentence like generalist versus specialist is very common in nowadays. And what do you think about generalist and versus specialist
Yep.
in
Thank you.
Gen Z era?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Yasmin. The way my team is structured is I tend to have people who are specialists in a specific area. You see, because your knowledge will then not go as deep if you are not specializing in a particular area. And that comes back to the need of collaboration. So when somebody is building a startup, it is important to have 3 personas in the startup as a founder. First is a business person. The second is a technology person. The third is a hipster. Because that person knows the consumer. And then the other person knows how to build stuff. And then the first person knows how to make the business work. Now that's, you can always look it up. There's a good analogy of 3 roles, 3 personas that have to be ready for somebody to build a startup. Is a business person, is a technology person, and a hipster. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. Okay, next question from the Bangkit student. It's from Alvin Pradana Antoni. Hi, Mr. Wisu. What are the small steps we need to entering big company? Okay, let's say having good soft skill and hard skill, but that makes a lot of competitors. What is your advice on that things?
Thank you, Alvin. Great question. Being part of Bangkit is also already bringing you guys ahead of the competition. Is bringing you guys ahead of the competition. Of course, after that, you should start looking at opportunities, right? You should start looking at opportunities where you probably look at internship or start a career, start working on a company, or actually deliver your product, your capstone project. Deliver that capstone project until it's done. Also, having a portfolio, that is very important, and those are some things that you should sort of put on your LinkedIn pages. So the fact that you have experience doing so and so, having a portfolio actually makes people see that you have already done that. In the past, in the past, with a lot of the people in my time, a lot of them contributed to open source projects, and then that's where their profiles sort of got recognized because of their activity in these kind of open source projects, and these activity is then put into their resume. Now your resume is probably LinkedIn, I don't see people writing the resume on paper anymore. It's always online on LinkedIn. But again, that's where you should showcase what you've done. You should showcase your project in form of uh, portfolios. Now, bear in mind, sharing your project in companies, say you were involved in building something that was, you know, groundbreaking in a company, you may face legal kind of challenges because those are owning to that company. So you should always share what is yours and not what is proprietary to a certain project that you're working on. But yeah, essentially is having a portfolio, sharing that portfolio, having that portfolio being visible online is gives you a competing edge against the others. Thank you. I hope I answered you.
Okay. And I think portfolio is like our unique value proposition of ourselves, right?
Yes, exactly. You're
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Next question from R. Demenhuri. How do we train ourselves to quickly process information or problems and get used to coming up with ideas from them in a limited time? For example, being required to give ideas in a meeting.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you, Daman. One tool that I always use, um, and I think everybody should use, is a pen and paper. When in the meeting, there are problems like that, I would write things down. I would start scribbling, my thoughts, because to me, especially, and I feel that it is also the case with many people, uh, visually seeing what is written, visually coming up with, seeing what's there, putting your thoughts on paper, scribbling around, visually looking at that. To me, that's easy because then it makes me process the information quicker. It makes me identify the problem, sort of scribble around with what possible data is affecting a problem. And then from there, sort of come up with the ideas in the meeting. Of course, many times you may not know the answer. And to me, it's good to be honest and say that you don't know the answer and come back within a specific time to actually answer it. Don't fake the answer if you don't have the data. Just negotiate with the person to come back with more details. And that's understandable, right? Because nobody is perfect. But you should always mention that with respect and clarify your steps, that the steps that you need to come up with an answer. Thank you. I hope I answered you, Daman.
Okay, really nice about embracing ourselves if we didn't know about the answer, just saying didn't know and then try to look up the solution and so on.
Yes.
Okay, next
Feel that
question.
many times your
Mhm.
your professor may also do that as well. Sometimes,
Yeah,
sometimes they may
yes, of
come up
course.
something that's difficult and he or she does not understand.
Mhm.
They'll get back to you.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Yudhistira H. Bagastian. I saw your journey, sir. Not only your career, also your fitness journey. Any tips to stay consistent in many things? Thanks, sir. Okay.
Thank you,
That was
Yudis.
Wisu.
Thank you for that, for actually noticing that. Again, it's to me is results drive the progress. So when maybe moving forward with what you just mentioned, back in 2015, I was 115 kilograms. I was overweight. I was obese. But then I saw that I needed to transform myself and live a healthier lifestyle. And that's where I sort of worked out. In the beginning, I lost 3 kilograms. And these small successes, these small steps are actually that maintained my interest in moving forward, in actually going on and on and on and on. Eventually, that 3 kilograms, the next month became 2, the next month, another 3 kilograms. And eventually, after a year, I lost around 35 kilograms. But I got too skinny, so I sort of, had more weight, bulked up with muscle. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So again, back again to the previous question, is actually results will drive somebody forward. If you're working out, if you're working on something and you don't see any results, you don't see any outcomes, you may get discouraged. That's also where it is with learning new technology. And with the capstone project, that is a great milestone for you guys, for everybody, to sort of look back and see the success that you've delivered during this Bangkit program. Thank you. I hope I answered you.
Okay, thank you. I really like with small steps with the consistency, because consistency it's really matters and important for all
Yes.
of us. Okay,
Yes.
next question is from Noga Muktiawati. Hi, Mr. Wisu. How you push your spirit to this position? Because many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Yeah. Thank you, Noga. So my story, when I sort of I was under pressure at during the mid 20 teens. It was around 2014, where my business was not really progressing very well, and I needed to support my family. So I sort of took on the decision to enter the job market and take on a role as the head of application development for a startup. I, to be frank, I sort of gave up on entrepreneurship. But to me, that was a life, a path I chose, because I needed to sort of support my family, right? And again, yes, people may see that as a failure, but I see that as something that I think I should have, I could learn more from. And now I've taken a business school, an MBA, and I've sort of, okay, that's what I should have done better, take learnings from there. But again, you should sort of, this is my view. You sort of step back and see what you should do better, sort of improve upon it. If many times that may be a risk, you should take calculated risk, and then, if you're playing around with stocks, do a cut loss and do something that is was it helps resolve that. But again, to me, is is situational, is what you look. Now, something that I personally felt was I needed to consult my family. I needed to talk to people around me, because when I was too much invested into something, to me, I would be blinded to what other opportunities are out there, and yeah, that's where my wife said that we need to, you need to start looking for a job, and then that's where, okay, I started looking for a job despite that. But again, is perhaps what I can suggest is start, consulting people around you. Start talking to people who are with you. If you are building a business, talk to your co-founders, and then see whether that where that's headed. If you are in a organization, in a company, um, feel free to talk to your supervisor on suggestions. But again, you should sort of message that properly, message that well, instead of, voicing out failures, but actually looking at better opportunities, working on something better. Many times in Google, you would see people um, that they feel that they are on a project that they don't feel is they don't feel is impactful enough, and they will always, talk to the manager and see what, how could be more impactful to within other projects. So in short, you should sort of have people around you, talk with people around you that can help you guide the way. Maybe have a mentor. That's also good. That's also good to have a mentor to see whether, where you're headed and such. I think I did not really answer it, but yeah, those are based on my experiences.
Yeah, I'm really agree with asking for help to another or consulting with others people. It will be wider our horizon and also the perspective that we have. Also, it will refreshing our stuck mind when we want to give up on something.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
Thank you, Mas Wisu. Okay, next question from Adin Abdallah. Hi, Mr. Wisu. When you have to talk in front of many people or important people, do you feel nervous? And do you have any tips or tricks to overcome it?
Yeah. So yes, I feel nervous, especially when I'm on a stage. The last time I was on stage was yesterday. Yesterday, I was in front of a physical stage of people in Semarang. I think it was around 500 people in a ballroom, talking about innovations. It's something that I feel that is practice makes perfect. You sort of do it, and then from time to time, you get better and better and better. I I can't say that I'm the best. But I do feel that I am, uh, you know, getting my way there. But again, that's where you should, you know, practice and start talking. Maybe take on initiatives, like when in your class, take on the initiative of talking within the front. And once you get nervous, I would suggest to pause, think, and then talk. Right? That's a great tip, because otherwise people will do just pause, stop and think, and then start talking again. Right? And that's where is practice, right? Is practice. When the more you start talking in front of people, the more you be on stage, the more you'll be relaxed at what you're doing. I hope I answered you. I did.
Okay, I'm highly suggested Adin to be a peers to peers on a study group in Bangkit to challenging yourself to talk in front of people to share your knowledge with the others friends
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
challenging moment.
yeah. That's a good suggestion, Yasmin. I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is from KF. Okay, sir, can I ask on what to do when feeling hesitant to give feedback to someone with more experience? This is especially taxing when they are the type that don't accept other opinion.
Yeah. So again, the steps that I've shared before, is being respectful, also being honest, listen to them, and sort of lay the facts, sort of lay the data that that person can actually was it relate to. It's if it's factual, lay the factual issues so that person can really, you know click, can really relate to what your idea is. Of course, some people may not be that receptive, but you should, start trying to win their trust first before actually pushing your opinions to somebody. Say, um, and earning the trust means a lot of ways, a lot of means of earning the trust, right? You could, talk casually, casual discussions with that person, have a quick, coffee, or yeah, discussing something that's casual, that's having common interests. Those are the kind of things that are ice breaking, and sort of ways for people to then accept your ideas, for them to actually uh, gain, for you to actually gain their trust. So yeah, the first thing is actually gaining their trust. Then you can start telling them that that your opinion is so and so. But if you don't gain their trust and you start telling them your opinion, yeah, people will be defensive. Who's he? I don't know him. What's he suggesting that? So yeah, I hope I answered you. Okay.
Okay, and I just want to add something on the feedback. I think KF can use the constructive feedback instead the general feedback to the someone with more experiences.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, next one from Taufik Satria Nugraha. Hi, Mr. Wisu. How do we adapt to technical skill in an age of rapidly evolving technology? Do we focus on being expert in one technical skill or have many technical skill can only do the basics?
Yeah. Thank you, Taufik. This is a relevant question to ask. And I did mention before that this day and age is difficult for somebody to know everything. Um, my suggestion is choose a particular skill to be deep in. So particular is wide. So when I say particular, I suggest that everybody see things as not as okay, I'm only developing on Java. I don't want to look at backend development. I don't want to look at JavaScript. I don't want to look at Python. I don't want to look at Go. But being specific means that you are in the area of developing backend, right? So that's important because then you are in a pretty wide spectrum of the technology. See, and then and because of that, you should also know high level what is the basics of other things, right? When you're building the mobile app, when you're building a mobile app, you should also think that okay, the server has to do such and such to deliver such and such, right? When you're doing machine learning, okay, the business value of this current model is such and such, and then I should do such and such. So yes, you should have a specific area of technical skills, but you should always have a general understanding of the other things. But again, this is the digital age, and collaboration will help bridge that will help bridge that when you're start to building things. So yes, you should focus on something and have a general understanding of the other thing, and also collaborate with other people to actually build that. Now, I think maybe Yasmin can share within the project. There's somebody who is a Android developer. There is a cloud engineer, cloud path, and then there is a machine learning path with every capstone project, and that's collaboration, right? You are specialist in a specific area, but you should know by collaborating the other areas. I hope I answered your topic.
Okay, yeah. In the capstone project, we sharing from the others part from machine learning, cloud computing, and machine mobile development. So we know it exactly what the kind of path that we doing in the Bangkit journey.
Mhm.
Okay, next question is from Rizal. Hi, Mr. Wisu. I want to ask, have you experienced a trouble to manage work-life aspect? If so, how? Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for that, Rizal. So, yes, work-life balance is super important. Whether you're working or such and such, that's something that is very important to everybody. Um, Sometimes I feel, you know, I have a soft heart. Sometimes I feel sorry for my daughter's teacher that has to, you know, that has to teach on weekends because of certain areas. To me, it's important to have work-life balance. Yes, and but again, there is a level um, of I have to do things that may extend away from my weekends, but still I would try to do my best in bringing work-life balance to myself, to myself in terms of making time to exercise, to my family in terms of making time to talk to them. What I would do is, this is a tradition I have within my family, is in the morning we have breakfast. We don't have mobile phones with us, and we sort of chat over breakfast. And those are the kind of things that I feel is balancing to my between my work and my life. Um, you should sort of, it comes back again to everybody. Everybody's life interests, what makes them fun, what's interesting for people is different. You should know that. Maybe if you have a pet, that's work-life balance for you. But always, I try to always dedicate a few hours of my day for family, for myself working out, and for work. At times, I would sort of, stay up late to work on things, but I try to make time to do other things that keeps me healthy, keeps me closer to my family, and so on. So yeah, so that's important. But again, it's back again to how somebody manages their time. Thank you. I think maybe other people can answer better, but those are my views.
Okay, so knowing about our limitation is also important to how to manage our work life things.
Yeah.
Okay, others question next from Salma at Sila Sabia. Hi, Mr. Wisu. How to increasing productive in teamwork with any different background, education, and experience from every each team member.
Thank you, Salma. So, yes, the main idea of teamwork, the main idea of um, collaboration is actually having different backgrounds. See, as I mentioned before, when I believe, Yasmin, when you were working on your project, you were working with people from different backgrounds, right? Or so in Google, we believe is what we believe in Google when we're hiring is culture. Is with culture is actually culture add instead of culture fit. So if we are just working with the people we like, the people that is similar to us, we would be building a product. See, if I were to be building a product and everybody was like me, then that product will be specifically for people who are just like me, who like fitness people, but that product would be interesting for other people. See, that's where culture add in Google is important instead of culture fit. So, yes, you should be looking for a productive team with diverse education, diverse experience, but the leader should have a common vision, a common goal. The leader should start defining the common vision and the common goal. So, my answer, Salma, is embrace differences within your team, but have a common vision and have a common goal so that everybody is headed to the right to the right North Star. Yeah, thank you. Hope I answered you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. Okay, next question is from Tiara Puspita. Hi, Mr. Wisu. Do you ever feel like you take things personally while working in a team? If so, how do you to tackle that?
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Tiara. Yes, that's true. Sometimes that happens when somebody is sort of not being respectful. Then it sort of comes to a situation where is displeasing, and that's where I believe that we should start, being respectful to other people, so that other people don't feel that way. Now, what I suggest, if you are in that kind of situation, is sort of give feedback to that individual and say that what that individual did is could have been better, right? But of course, you should say that in a respectful manner. But if you are somebody who feels that person is not working well, then again, similar to the previous question before, is actually starting to respect that individual and give feedback in a respectful manner. Yeah, thank you. I hope I answered you, Tiani.
Okay, so the next one, I think it will be the last question from the Bangkit student in 2023. It's from Luis Nazaren. Hi, Mr. Wisu. If you could go back and relive your 20s, what would you do differently to improve your personal and professional life, and why?
Thank you, Luis. So, yes, what would I do differently? Um, there were a lot of things that I'm very thankful of how things worked out. What I would have done better differently was sort of taken care of my health earlier in my 20s. So I started taking care of my health when I was at almost 40. So 39, I started taking care of my health. I would have taken my health better when I was in my 20s. That's one thing. The next thing is I would have invested more in learning about business before jumping into a before building a business, right? Because or actually learning more about or actually learning more about collaboration. So one of the key factors that did not really work well with my business before was that all founders were people who were none of us were actually business savvy people. I was the technology person. The others were more of a not really deep into the business area of the business itself. And to me, I felt that when I should have taken my MBA earlier. That way, I would have had that idea, much more better to me. So my thinking is not limit yourself to just learning technical skills, but more soft skills and business skills earlier in my 20s. You may see me now talking about business and such here, but that's a long journey. It took me a long journey to actually learn that. It could have been accelerated better. And these days, there are a lot more learnings. Bangkit, you've got online classes that you could take. Of course, they may not be free, but those are the kind of investments that you should be doing to improve yourself. So yeah, those are my what I could have done better in my 20s. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mas Wisu. Okay, unfortunately, the question will be the last question in today's guest speaker session. So, because of the time limitation that we have, and to sum up for today's session, Mas Wisu already tell us about a future ready career skill. For the first one is about critical thinking and problem solving, and how we can see and understanding about our problem by identifying, brainstorming, and also evaluating plus implementing that the solution that we have. And the second one is about the communication. It's not only from one part, but it should be understandable between the two parts. So first one is about the listen actively, clear and concise, respectfully, and open to feedback that happen in communication. And the third one is about the teamwork and collaboration, how to become a good listener, willing to share information and ideas. And I really like the explanation of Mas Wisu tells about the Google Workspace, because the Google Workspace it's one of the collaboration things to share information, to share ideas with the other people nowadays, and the very good technologies. And the next one also same, open to feedback, willing to compromise, and positive and supportive. And the fourth one, it's about the adaptability and flexibility. So we have to open to the new experiences, new challenges, willing to change, positive, patient, and persistent. And I really like too the explanation about the willing to change. It's starting from Gmail and the Google Workspace that Mas Wisu tell us before. And yeah, and the last is about the creative and innovative. So we have to open to the new ideas, new insight, collaborative, experimental, and brave to take risks. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you, Mas Wisu, for a very insightful session. And any other closing statement from you, Mas Wisu, to tell any
Um,
student?
yeah, so I'm very happy to be here sharing these kind of future ready skills with everybody here. I hope that it has been positive. It helps you get an idea of how to be prepared, how to uh, how to prepare yourself for the future, and I am looking forward to successful individuals coming out of this program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mas Wisu, for a very insightful session. Hope you guys take all notes from the material that Mas Wisu delivered. And hopefully this session would be beneficial for you to implement it, to take so many things that Mas Wisu delivered. And yeah, I think that's all for today's session. Thank you guys for coming to the third guest speaker session with Mas Wisu Suntoyo in here. And yeah, bye bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.